There's been a lot of talk about South Africa's land expropriation laws that aim to address historical injustices that come from colonialism and apartheid by rectifying disparities in land ownership. In response to this, the US President Donald Trump has issued an executive order halting all financial aid to South Africa and offering refugee status to white South African farmers. Once more, not just emphasizing the racism behind his dehumanization of migrants, but also the fact that the most basic attempts at equality in the global south are met with extreme reactions by the American empire. So let's look at what this evil program aims to achieve. These are some of the key provisions of the Expropriation Act that was passed last year. The Act permits expropriation of property for public purposes such as infrastructure development or in the public interest, which includes ensuring equitable access to natural resources. Now, while the Act does say there will be compensation for expropriation, there are cases that no compensation is necessary. For example, if the land is unused and held purely for speculative purposes, or if the state-owned land is not required for public services anymore, or if the land is fully abandoned, or if the land with a market value less or equal to the state subsidies that land has received. So if the state has already basically paid for land through subsidies, it's not required to compensate the owner. Now, the Act also established a due process for it, that the law is getting criticized for basically taking too long. The wealthy landowners would say there is no due process, but that does not seem to be the case. It also goes without saying that there's no provisions about specifically targeting any race in this law. If the wealthy landowners all happen to be, that's a legacy of apartheid and colonialism. As of 2018, for example, about 72% of all farmland in South Africa was owned by white people that made up less than 10% of the population. If you're interested in learning more about the relationship between capitalism and racism, check out the first episode of my podcast.